wearing. But when we consider ourselves as divine beings, of course, we're more likely to adorn ourselves because that's what you would. If you have a child or a pet that you love, or you worship a deity, then it is about having flowers around the deity, or putting jewelry on the child, or a beautiful collar on the pet. So that
thanks for acknowledging I'm a deity. That's clearly why I'm wearing my jewelry to begin with.
That's obviously why you invited me on the podcast.
I'm just playing.
And all the things I mentioned already, like humming, chanting, mantras, singing, dancing. And this episode hasn't come out yet, but I spoke to someone who's studying Sufi mysticism. And so, she very specifically talked about love and an exercise to kind of hum or chant the vibration that induces love, which I would call oxytocin, around your body, and has an impact on the people around you as well. So there might be certain words or sounds that people can use to do that. And another area that I've explored, which is more ancient cultures are more comfortable with than us, are things like reincarnation, near-death experiences, past life memories, terminal lucidity, and Mindisight. So terminal lucidity is where people who have dementia, or they've had some kind of brain injury like a stroke, and lost their levels of consciousness, so either their memory or their ability to recognize people or understand the passage of time, suddenly become completely lucid towards the end of their life. So this tends to happen in the last hour or day before death.
And when you say completely lucid,
they remember everything. So they go from having forgotten that they even have children to recognizing their children, knowing their names, speaking to them in the usual parental fashion that they used to, and really getting to say goodbye and being very loving.
I wish that for everybody.
I know, I know. So, everybody who's lost somebody whose consciousness was altered, that can happen, and it can be an amazing experience. But unfortunately, it usually also means that the person is very close to death. But still,
so maybe not.
Well, everybody would rather have that period of lucidity than not have it.
For sure.
But, we're not very good at death and loss, so it's painful. What the professor that I spoke to about that made me understand is that you have to prepare yourself for death throughout your whole life. And it just comes back to the same things, Andre, that we spoke about: being grateful, being kind, being compassionate. If you do that as much as you can throughout your life, you're going to have less regrets on your deathbed. I'm not the first person that's saying this, but you're not going to be lying on your deathbed saying, I wish I earned more money, or I wish I gained higher status in life, So that's one way of looking at it. Mindsight is something really incredible, which is a near-death experience, but in a very smaller cohort of people who have been blind their whole life. So they've never actually seen. Maybe the most that they've seen is they can distinguish light and dark, but they haven't had vision. And then where they have a near-death experience, they can see. So if you put all of these things together, the fact that some children seem to have memories of a different life, that you can become very lucid even though you've got a degenerative process in your brain or an injury to your brain, that you can see if you've been blind. It does make you wonder about how connected consciousness has to be to the physical form, and the fact that they can maybe move apart and come back together again. And of course,